Hey there, winos. This is Vince.WINE, and today I'm super excited. I am here with Annabelle McVine, the one and only. She has an incredible channel where she focuses on a lot of different cool stuff about wine and focuses a lot about Greek wines and wines from Cyprus, and I'm sure she can explain her channel a lot better than I can. I'll hand it over. Annabelle, hello there.
Hi there, Vince. So good to see you. Thank you for showing up so late. I can see you're in the dark and my day's just beginning. We are 10 hours apart, Vince.
Yeah, this has been definitely a lot of coordination to get this going, but I'm so glad that we could. It's about close to 10 p.m. for me right now. I've got a nice little fire warming me up out here on a very cold California night, and I've caught you right around breakfast time.
Well, yes, it's approaching 8 a.m. and haven't had coffee yet, but you're worth it. Because I'm getting ready for a wine tasting. Yes, it's bright and early here, and I'm all the way in the Eastern Mediterranean. We are really quite far away, but you have to love Zoom, right?
One of the great things about what technology is doing for us is we can connect from our local wine regions. So I really wanted to explore a little bit about wines from Greece, these Greek varietals. So who better to talk to, of course. And I would love to jump into the varietal of Xinomavro. I know almost nothing about Xinomavro. I think I took a course on this back in Somm school, and it was like a small chapter, so it was like a day long, and that's about the extent of my knowledge of Greek wine. So I'm really excited to be talking to who I consider the expert to teach me about it. And likewise, I'm really happy to go over some California varietals, a very popular California New World varietal, Zinfandel. So this is going to be a pretty cool experience. I'm looking forward to it.
I'm looking forward to it too. What should we start with?
Yeah, well, if you don't mind, I really want to know about this stuff. I've got some Xinomavro here, so why don't we start with you teaching me a little bit, and then we can jump into our Zinfandel. Oh, by the way, we just came off of a video over on Annabelle's channel on her show WineScribble, so I'm really excited for how that turns out. And you winos, go check that out, where we cover on that one Sonoma Coast's La Crema Chardonnay, and I talked to Annabelle a little bit about that, and she teaches me about Assortico of white varietal from Greece. It was a really cool tasting experience, and I hope you guys go check that out next.
So you want to start with Xinomavro?
Please.
Right? And I have here domain taxis Humenissa. Humenissa is the particular region. Generally, you can find Xinomavro in the north of Greece. The temperatures are much cooler. You have mountainous regions, rocky soils. But what makes Xinomavro really special, Vince, is that you have never, I guarantee you, tasted a red wine like Xinomavro. Because, and you're a Somm, what do you expect to find in a red wine? Generally speaking, I mean, they're all different, but you look for berries. It's either red fruit or dark berries, right? Xinomavro has aromas of tomatoes and olives.
Oh my, we almost needed a drum roll right there. I was like, oh my gosh.
It's not necessarily an easy drinker because it's a little bit unusual, but to actually find sun-dried tomato in a wine is so exciting. And of course, this is the wine you need for all those tomato dishes that give us so much difficulty. So well, let's get into it.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And I love the way you pronounce it, by the way. You're calling it Xinomavro.
Well, yes. So in Greek, the x is quite hard. Most other languages struggle a little bit with that. But xino is, it means sour, like acidity. And mavro is the Greek word for black. It's a very dark gray. It's
acidity.
Acidity cool. And tannins.
Dark acidity. Well, I love it. Let's get it poured. I have also domain tatsis here, and this is a blend. That was one of the things about having an ocean between us. I could not find exactly the same ones, but it is the same producer. This one has a blend of Negoska as well. So I looked it up. That is another popular Greek varietal.
This also has Negoska that I have. Tatsis. And I have met this winemaker. This man is a rock star. He is amazing. Like, just one of the coolest people you could share wine with. And I ended up drinking with him in in a wine shop in Paralimni called Robustas, and it's one of my best wine memories. He's incredible, a lovely person, but so many cool stories. Love him. So that is legendary. He likes to blend his Xinomavro with Negoska, so we're okay. I think the main difference between my bottle and your bottle is that the vines for Rumenisa are about 70 years old, and yours, I can see, says young vines. So that's an interesting difference there for us.
Yeah, I'll be excited to see exactly what that is. Well, first and foremost, and again, I'm here at nighttime, so I don't quite have all the right light. Let me get my phone on here and just try to get a look at that coloration there. So yeah, this is, gosh, it almost looks kind of cloudy, actually. So I'm wondering about the filtration. This may be an unfiltered wine. It looks somewhat cloudy, mine does at least. And from what I can see, it looks ruby red, but I did have the light right up to it, because now that I'm looking at it in the nighttime, it looks sort of we get a lantern here. I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to do this. It looks sort of deep in that. I know. I just need a bloodhound out here next, right? Yeah. Let's see. But yeah, it does look like a sort of blood red to ruby red.
I agree. Actually, you've called that right, because Tatsis is known for making wines as natural as possible. These wines tend to be unfiltered, organic. Mine also says wild fermented. He really likes to make wine as pure as possible. It's very, very important to him.
A wild ferment will mean sort of like use native yeast. So this is not anything that's cultured, that's added into the wine. This is natural yeasts that are just in that specific area, in that specific vineyard, maybe in that specific cellar. It is super terroir driven. So that is really, really cool.
I think it's really his goal is to make the most pure expression of that particular vineyard, that particular region. But it speaks of the man's confidence to control the process, that he just allows wild fermentation, and the result is always extraordinary. But like I said, do not expect like berries and light aromas of fruit here. This is quite an unconventional wine.
Yeah, I will forget everything I know about wine, and I will just let this hit me. Let's take the nose. Oh yeah, that is deeply aromatic. So we just came off of my first experience with a Greek wine in a long time was the Assertico, and that one, well, one, it's really cold out here, and I had the wine chilled, but that was very muted, and it was all about the mouthfeel, and this is certainly not the same. I am getting some gorgeous aromatics out of here. Oh my gosh, yeah, there's like a soupiness underneath that, holy moly. But before I get there, sorry, I'm jumping ahead, there's some actually really beautiful sort of purple florals in my glass, so I'm getting a lot of young, I am getting the berries, that's certainly still there for me. Some purple, like dry foresty brush there, but you know, like sort of like dried berries. But yeah, there is like this, and I hate the power of suggestion, but I think I get where you're coming from with that sort of tomatoey thing you're talking about there. There's this very rustic and very savory situation happening in here that's really, really pretty. And for me, my mind goes soupy. I'm thinking there's something like soupy happening in there, and that's probably what I'm thinking of is sort of that tomatoiness there. Talk to me a little bit. How is your wine different?
So I have a lot of earthy aromas in this glass. I don't know if you're getting all the sort of forest undergrowth and wet earth and those sort of aromas come on very, very strongly.
Yeah, that's like the first thing. Yeah, I was mentioning sort of like this foresty brush, and I think that's what I'm getting. There is it is earth is the very first thing that hits you here. All that earthiness, really pretty. I cannot wait to get this on the palate. So cheers.
Well, let's do that. Savory, much.
Oh wow. Okay. This was cool. So on the palate, the body was sort of medium body. I was kind of going medium, almost veering towards medium light. Then I finished the wine, and holy moly, those tannins just rushed in. I mean, my mouth, my teeth are just being pulled out of my mouth right now. This is really gripping and super tannic, and at the same time so pleasant because of again, some of those earthy flavors and some good fruitiness in there as well. This is a meaty wine.
I agree, and this is medium body for me as well. But the tannins, I think, perhaps, obviously we're not tasting the same wines. I think that the tannins are a little bit more mellow from these older vines, but you do get this dryness and the acidity. It's not a wine, I think, that you could drink and not think about it. You know, some bottles you can enjoy lightly whilst watching a favorite show, and I don't think you could ignore this one.
Absolutely not. So this one is, the more I'm spending time with this wine, it is sort of starting to trick me a little bit. I'm starting to get flashes of Italy in this wine. I'm getting sort of like everything from that sort of tomato that you were talking about to the acidity, yet at the same time having a strong tannic structure. I think in a blind tasting, I probably would have called this an Italian varietal. Just again, high acidity like Sangiovese and Nebbiolo, you know, but it does have the structure. It's got the high acidity and then with long tannin on there. And then, yeah, sort of that vegetation, not all the way to thyme and oregano, but maybe a little tomatoey. And that's the closest varietal I think I would call, because I really haven't sat here and critically had one of these before.
I get what you're saying, because yes, with the Italian wines, you have this lightness in color that comes with surprising tannins, and you have these slightly unconventional aromas that are not typically what you would expect. I think, although I love French wine, I think that the dominance of France has perhaps delayed us from understanding exactly how much variety there is in the wine world and how many alternative palettes there are out there that really surprise someone, because you know we get educated always on the Cabernet Sauvignon and the Merlot, and there's so much more out there, and we really should. And you know, what did you call us, wine tubers? I think at least part of our mission is to actually get to these varieties before they disappear. I don't think Xinomavro is a risk of disappearing. It's very popular, but there are so many other varieties that haven't made it to the limelight.
Oh, totally well said, Annabelle. Absolutely. And I have to say that yeah, for example, for me, this was really a challenge of a varietal to find. Being even in California, I am just inundated with and saturated with other California regions. You know, we have so many different regions that can do so many variations of varietals from all around the world in different styles. In fact, we were just talking about that with Chardonnay in the video on your channel, how there can be very, very different styles depending on the region and producer even in California. And so from there, we get maybe some French and maybe some Italian and some of the, you know, the big, more well-known regions, and then some of the more well-known new regions, you know, New Zealand, Australia, Chile, Argentina. So when you get to find something like Xinomavro from Greece, I mean, that was a challenge for me. I had maybe two that I could even find, and this is one of those. But I think as wine is becoming more popular, I hope that you will start to see more of it. I do want to say one thing. I'm going to change my initial assessment on the color of this wine. As I'm looking at it now, yes, it does have that nice deep, medium deep concentration. So I see it's sort of mediumly concentrated. This is a 2015 vintage, and I'm getting violet around the rim. So I'm getting these really violet tones around the rim that speak to me of youth. And this is a 2015, so that's pretty interesting. Is this going to work the same way as what I'm used to, as far as that color sort of getting a lighter and more browning as age hits it?
Mine, as you were speaking, I've been looking at it against the wine wall, and mine is brick color. So I have sort of a reddish brown, like red brick, and a more amber rim on mine. And I guess the age has something to do with that. Though in terms of how long they've been in the bottle, mine is a little bit older. It's a 2014. And old vines.
And old vines, and I have 2015 and young vines. So Two really great examples. I'm going to say one more thing, and gosh, I hope I don't offend not only you, but and not only Greece, and not but just the wine world in general afar, and lose my certification. But okay, I know this is gonna sound weird. I am getting like sort of this jelly as well that's reminiscent of like PB&J. I'm getting sort of like almost like a Smucker's. That's a very popular jelly brand here in California, but like this sort of Smucker's jelly finish on there, and I've never really gotten that before. Maybe like Tanat is the only other thing that, like, Tanat for me tastes like grapes, you know. It's like one of the few wines that does, and this sort of has that for me. And I wonder if that's has to do with the young vines, because again, also this has a lot of tannin structure, much more than the structure that yours had. So I do find that interesting. But then yeah, totally, all that earthiness is really the star of the show here. Such great complexity, just to save face a little bit there.
Wonderful. I'm not getting any sweet jelly notes in mine at all. But when you said jelly, the first thing I thought about, maybe a little bit of cranberry jelly, which is what, you know, like, it's very savory, high acid, not really sweet. Jelly. I'm not getting peanut butter. I'm gonna tell you that.
No, I'm not getting peanut butter either. Just the jelly part. Okay, well, that was super cool. Thank you so much. This was such a great opportunity to taste a varietal that I really just have not had any experience with. Great acidity, great earthiness, and great some very decent tannic structure there. So for you winos, this is Xinomavro, and you're gonna have to find it at a specialty store if you're here in the New World with me, or otherwise, yeah, definitely you want to pick something up, because this was phenomenal. Okay, I'm ready to get a little heavy. You ready to go a little heavy?
Well, I fully expect you to return the favor and educate me about Zinfandel.
Awesome. Okay, we're gonna move over now to some Zinfandel, definitely a California favorite. So I have, once again, a different producer than you do. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to find the same producer. So we were initially starting with Kendall Jackson, which is a very large producer here in California. I went to a number of places and could not find their Zinfandel. So I did get a same price range and same AVA, the Mendocino County Zinfandel. So this is a 2015 vintage here, and this is, I believe it's pronounced Edmeades, or Edmeades. So this is a local producer.
I could have got that. Once again, I turned to I turned to Andres Kyprianou, my sommelier friend who owns Vino Cultura. It's a really cult, amazing wine shop here in Cyprus. And he gave me the option between these two bottles, and I thought this would be the easier one to find.
I should have just said something. Wow. Okay, communication is key. Very cool. Well, yeah, let's get started. I'll pop the cork here and get ourselves a glass going. And as we do that, yeah, I'll fill you in a little bit. So Zinfandel is definitely a California thing for sure. And as a matter of fact, there has even been a push to make this sort of the official varietal of California. Is Zinfandel. It has a really troubled history. I'm not sure how familiar you are with Zins in your region, but it definitely has a troubled history. It came originally from Croatia, and then from there it traveled and had even found its way in Italy, where it was known as Primitivo, and a cousin clone of it has come to the New World, and in our very own California, well, before we turned it into this beauty, gosh, we just didn't know what the heck to do with it. So it turned into a lot of like port style and sweet wines, and to this day is used as a port style and sweet wine. And then from there went into the ever famous white Zinfandel. So white Zinfandel, of course, was the big one for many years, until we finally decided to treat this like the red wine it deserves to be treated like. And that's what we have here in our glass, and thank goodness for that, because we've got a really beautiful wine in front of us. So we should probably first and foremost take a look at that color. What's the color on your wine over there?
This is beautiful. This is like you know, when you read the Odyssey, Homer describes the sea as the wine-colored sea, and it's very disputed what he means by that. But if you have Zinfandel in your glass, I think you'll understand. It's just this this depth that draws you in, that mesmerizing darkness and mystery. That's what, that's not probably WSET standard.
I love it. No, that's exactly what I was gonna say. As a matter of fact, you took the words right out of my mouth. Darkness and mystery. Yeah, totally. This is just dark as night in my glass, and that's one thing you're gonna find common on Zins. This is an inky wine. This should be really dark, and it should stain your glass as well if you twist your bowl, and offer you some really decent legs on there as well, which are going to come possibly both from residual sugar in some, but certainly from alcohol. Zins love a warm climate, and you're probably not going to find one in the 14% ABV. This is likely 15 or up, as a matter of fact. Yeah, this is 15 exactly, 15% alcohol. And that's typical. Lots of sun means lots of heat, means lots of sugar, means lots of alcohol.
It's all about the sunshine, I think, in California, right? I mean, you have, I've not visited, and you know, with the current climate, who knows? So you're my only source. However, you just have plains, flat plains with a lot of vines, from what I can see on videos, and just the sun directly above, just creating all these delicious sugar that then turns into these big alcoholic red wine.
Yeah, totally. So those plains, I'm glad you said that. So those plains are going to be in another big Zinfandel region in California that you may or may not have heard of, but it's called Lodi. And the Lodi region here, it's full of that flat land. But of course, in winemaking worldwide, the coveted AVAs are going to be those that are hilly or mountainous. And Mendocino County, where our Zinfandels come from today, does have a lot of that hilliness and some high elevation as well. So Mendocino County is right above Sonoma in California. So you've got the Sonoma coast, and then you've got Mendocino that borderlines with it, with even some vineyards crossing over that AVA, sharing both AVAs. So now, as far as our producers, who knows? It very well may be from flat vineyards. But yeah, so we do still want to go after those coveted hilly terrains. But yeah, you're right. You're going to find a lot of that here in California. Let's take the nose on this. Okay, if you want to talk about jelly, this is jam. That is another big hitter when it comes to Zinfandel. These wines are jammy as the day is long, and that's going to be pretty consistent when it comes to Zinfandels. This sort of jammy condition of fruit, blackberry jam, raspberry jam, this really deep, beautiful, sort of preserved, dried fruitiness.
This is for me a very different style red than what I'm used to, which makes it super exciting, because that's the whole point of this, right? So
yeah, let's get it on the palate then. I won't talk too much about it there. Let's have you experience it, and then talk to me a little bit about what your experience with Zinfandels have been. Have you had much?
I have not had much. I had to hunt down a Zinfandel to make a video on my Fast 5 Facts about Zinfandel, which does exist. And the hardest thing, I could find a ton of information, but I had to teach myself how to pronounce the Croatian original name of the grape, and that was the most difficult thing about that video. It's just Kaljananski. It's just, I was practicing for 2 days.
Yeah, I won't lie to you. I don't even think I remember what it is. I would have to go look myself. Cool. I'm really excited for you to taste this then. If you haven't had much experience with it, let's go for it. Oh,
I see what you mean. This is a big wine. This is a big wine in every way, because you get, I understand now the descriptor jammy, because you just get that big personality coming forward, and it's not fruity. It's gone through a process. It's almost been maderized, almost like just this cooked sense. The tannins came at the end, and were very good, because they just balanced it right up again.
Oh. Exactly. Saved you from like a fruit bomb or something like that, right? Totally. One of the other staples, typically for me, a Zinfandel is going to be jammy. It's going to be inky, nice and full-bodied. And you usually, not all the time, but I often get a lot of sort of this tertiary flavor of black pepper. So they do tend to pick up some sort of peppery notes pretty often, which can make them quite spicy. And there are some producers who can make a very light bodied style of Zinfandel that even show some sort of like limestoniness and minerality. So they can be produced on a wide spectrum, but the vast majority, unlike our Chardonnay, which we talked about in the last video, which has variations that are very common, it's not the same with Zinfandel. Most producers are going to give you this big beast of a wine.
It's a beast, but like a gentle one. And I can see how these would have made exquisite dessert wine, like a very medieval style dessert wine that's been oaked and it's just gone all heavy and silky and deep. I think that it was well suited for that. But I'm enjoying this very modern dry wine take. What would you pair Zinfandel with? It's a very dominant character.
Oh,
which
totally.
Is why I cannot imagine it.
This needs aggressive.
Second fiddle to the food. You'd have to do something.
Absolutely. This is super aggressive. So here we are, United States of America, and we like our barbecues here. And this is going to be very, very fun with barbecue ribs, barbecue sauces, barbecue beef, barbecue chicken, something that has sort of this sweet glaziness to it, but maybe also this spice or pepperiness to it as well, right? Now you're talking.
Well, and that's actually, you've just raised a very important point, because we love barbecues too, but our barbecues are very light. We don't have the smoky barbecue glazes that you have. I watch those on TV. I'm very curious to try them, but when I say barbecue, I'm thinking about something quickly cooked on the charcoal, squeeze of lemon, very, very light, very bright, whereas what you're describing would make more sense with this, you see. Very different kind of barbecue. Greek style barbecues are very light fare, something you'd have in the summer. With
something the Acertico would go well with.
Yes, something the Acertico would go well with. So, yeah. We wine what we know.
There you go. We wine what we know. There you have it. Well, Annabelle, this has been a lot of fun. I'm so happy to have had you here on my channel, just enjoying some Zinfandel for the first time, and for teaching me about Xinomavro. I mean, that was such a cool wine, and I'm really excited to try it again and again, and just see what sort of consistencies I get, and what sort of new things I might even come across, and also to pair it with food. I'm really sort of itching to see what it can go with all that great acidity and tannin. So really excited about it. You winos, go check out Annabelle at her channel at WineScribble. She does a really fantastic job there, and she's a lot of fun to watch. Her story was she was looking for a wine show, and had a bit of a struggle finding something that could keep her attention. So she said, "I'm just gonna make one," and I think she absolutely killed it. Thanks a lot again, and I'll let out on what I usually do until next time. Until we drink together next time, Annabelle, drink safe and drink well.
See you soon.
Cheers.